We're getting close to a Lexus ES redesign, and one of the more, I guess, popular scoop magazines from Japan has a nice scoop on it. We're going to break this down and talk about what we could expect from a next generation ES. The ES has been around since the inception of the Lexus brand. It's been out as one of the volume sellers. It was the entry level, the gateway into the Lexus brand, but over the years it's changed to smaller vehicles like the UX or the CT, just depending on the year. But the ES has always remained a front-wheel drive, smooth, very luxurious, old-school luxury sedan. And that is going to stick around, in theory, as the same sort of premise. So we're going to break this down. If you guys love the Lexus ES, smash the like button. Think of it as a very fancy, more upscale Camry. It's a little bit bigger than the Camry. I think the wheelbase is about the same, maybe a little bit longer. It was more traditionally an upscale Avalon, at least for about the last decade. It's been an upscale Avalon, but the Avalon's now gone. I'm going to talk about what this article has to say. Also chip in the information that I have about this vehicle, about the production of it, what I'm expecting, when to expect it. It can actually come fairly soon here. All right, so what we're going to do is head on over to the English translation, guys. And if you guys missed my video on the LS and how it's likely to be transformed into a big old crossover, make sure to check that out if you missed it, because it is it's a bit sad. But the ES is staying true to its roots as a true sedan, and it's getting a slew of new powertrains. All right, they even say plugins. This is the first time, maybe ever, I've heard of a plug-in hybrid coming for the ES. Doesn't mean it's coming for sure, but we would like to have it. Absolutely like to have it. So we'll talk more about that here in a second. But let's break this down. Let's break down what MagX is saying here. They wrestle with what just happened in China. Okay, so they show it in these images. I'm going to pull it up. So the idea that the ES just got a refresh for China makes little to no sense for them, and it doesn't make any sense for me. This is what it looks like now in China. It's got a different revised spindle grille. They redesigned the lights on the front, and they redesigned the lights in the back. It's got a light bar now in the Lexus typed out as well, but it still has the same powertrains. It's still the same vehicle. And on the inside, they got rid of the physical climate control. They kept the clocks, at least they did that, but they made the screen bigger. It is now in step with the NX or the GX. I'm not a big fan. I'm used to it because the RX is like this now, but physical climate control, there's no replacement for it. I don't want it in a touchscreen ever, 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 ever. And in fact, it takes up about a third of the screen with just climate control functionality. So it's just like, it just feels like it's been cheapened by bigger screens and less buttons. Remember, luxury is about feel. There's nothing to feel on a touchscreen. It's just a panel of glass. All right, I wanted to feel the tactile. And these rotary dials are good. They have a nice rubber outside to them. They have a good tactile response. They kind of have a clicky motion. The volume knob's too small, but at least they have a volume knob. It has a good resistance to it. But I want my buttons. And I'm not the only Lexus enthusiast or car enthusiast that want my buttons. And yes, they put in ambient lighting in here too for China. But they're wrestling with the idea. It's like, hey, get out of here. You rascal. No, give me my hat back. Give it back. All right, let me work. Unless you want to play in here or something. No? All right. Do you want the cars?
Down.
Do you want the FJ?
FJ?
The FJ Cruiser?
Which one the FJ?
It was the FJ.
Oh, I want to play with
You can play with both of them. Just let me get all my recording gear out of the way.
I just want to play with this one.
All right, she's going to play with the Trueno AE86. All right, so it's just strange that the ES is getting a refresh for China when my sources, and it's also confirmed by Lexus, but my sources are saying ES production is ending in Kentucky this coming August. It's going to be here before we know it. And it's kind of sad because it's falling off just a few years after the Avalon was killed in Kentucky. But production is going back to Japan. Lexus has confirmed that. We just don't know exactly when, at least from Lexus, but my internal sources have said production is ending August for the ES in America. The strange thing is okay, they just refreshed it for China, and the ES is due for a redesign at the same time, less than a year later. What's going on? Well, their theory is that in China, they could have two different concurrent variants of the ES available to the public. But it's still hard to wrap my head around to have two different ESs, different generations available at the same time. They say it's not the first time. They say it's happened with other vehicles like the Prius before. And it kind of reminds me of like PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. PlayStation 2 kept going on, right? And PlayStation 3 came out, but PlayStation 3 was also a lot more expensive at the time. So it's not like you're having a more affordable ES of the current generation and then a next gen ES that's much more expensive. I don't know. All right. So maybe the PlayStation analogy wasn't the greatest because of the price deltas. There shouldn't be a price delta here, generation over generation, at least not a substantial one. We're not going to get this refresh from China. We're not getting it. 99.9% sure. They even say in here that they reached out to Lexus and Lexus said, no, we have no plans to make this refreshed ES available outside of China. All right. So what's coming for the ES? Well, like the Camry, it's going to be on an improved version of the K platform. The RAV4 is moving to that. All these next generation Toyota and Lexus vehicles are not really true next generation. I should just say the next major redesign is not really a major redesign. It's on an improved platform. This improved K platform. All right. They're saying initially that when this redesigned ES gets announced, it's going to be announced with a battery electric. All right. And we have trademarks to confirm that. There are trademarks for, ES 350E and ES 500E. But they're also saying that there's a hybrid variant, of course, but V6 is gone. I've said that for a long time, just like the V6 was killed in the Camry, right? All right. It's said to be announced in the summer. And then in 2026, or just slightly after, we could see a plug-in hybrid model called the ES 450h Plus. Now, we don't have, as far as I'm aware, we don't have a trademark for this ES 450h Plus. I would love to see, and I've had a lot of comments on my channel that they would love to have an ES plug-in hybrid similar to the RAV4 plug-in hybrid powertrain or the RX plug-in hybrid powertrain. I would love that too. Don't get me wrong. It's still hard for me to believe that it would be coming. Maybe I'm just too stubborn, but we don't have a trademark for it. Lexus has never made a plug-in hybrid in a sedan. It's just hard for me to accept that they would do it. I want it though. I want it real bad. All right. But I'm not confident in it. But maybe it's because we haven't had an updated K platform able to support such a powertrain in a sedan before. All right. The closest thing would be if you look at maybe the Crown. Some of the Crown models in Japan have a plug-in hybrid. I think the Crown Estate is supposed to have a plug-in hybrid. They're saying it will be released later. Of course, we'll have all-wheel drive. That's a given with the new Camry having all-wheel drive on the hybrids. It will be the 5th generation hybrid here. And if that's the case, if it's a 5th generation plug-in hybrid, could have more power than 306 horsepower, could have more electric range as well. But back to the battery electrics, which I know a lot of you are not super excited about, but this is a global model. It'll be sold in Europe. It'll be sold in California. That's really an EV state, and other CARB states will be sold in China. All right, so they have to have battery electric variants of this in theory. All right, they're saying the ES 500E would be dual motor all-wheel drive, where the ES 350E would actually be two-wheel drive, but they don't explain if it would be front motor or rear motor. If it's front motor ES, battery electric, it's not the end of the world, but I would be disappointed, honestly. I think it would be a great opportunity for Lexus to have some rear wheel drive identity back in the lineup since the GS has been discontinued. Yes, the IS and the LS still have rear wheel drive, but electrification is a great opportunity, and it's an easy opportunity to make it happen. Will they do it? I don't know. So time will tell. So let me know what powertrain you would be interested in the ES. Do you just want the Camry's 5th gen in there? Do you want all-wheel drive with that 5th gen hybrid, the ES 350h with around, let's say it makes 240 horsepower. Maybe it makes a little bit more in the Lexus than it does in the Toyota. Do you want a plug-in hybrid ES? Do you want a battery electric ES? Would you like to see a rear-wheel drive fully electric ES? I feel like I almost have more questions than answers. And the plug-in would debut next year, a plug-in hybrid specifically, and it could launch with the battery electric and hybrid here this year. I'm still getting my hopes up for it that it will be launched this year. We should have quite an exciting second half for Toyota and Lexus. This first half, well, we had the 4Runner drive. I'll be sharing those driving impressions soon, maybe the next day, depending on when you're watching this. But we won't have any of the reveals probably till late spring, early summer from Toyota and Lexus, and expect some good reveals. We could see the new Highlander EV or plug-in hybrid or hybrid, whatever they decide to do with the Highlander, but it's moving to Kentucky more than likely and leaving the Indiana plant. We'll see a redesigned RAV4. That's huge. It's the best-selling Toyota in the world. Maybe outselling the Corolla nowadays. It's hard to say. We should see a redesign on the ES. That might be the only thing from Lexus. Is it we would see an LFR potentially, a flagship sports car GT3 race car from Lexus. We could see the Celica by the end of this year. So like it's going to be a slow start this year with reveals for Lexus and new product announcements and Toyota, but by mid-year and late 2025, it's going to be the internet's going to be on fire with all sorts of media on the Toyota and Lexus redesigns. So it's kind of we'll get through this lull together, and I promise you it will be worth the wait. God bless the ES, and may it never ever turn into a cross. They already have a crossover version of it, and it's called the RX. So this isn't going anywhere. This is the most important sedan for Lexus. It's more important than the IS. It's more important than the LS. It outsells them both combined. And this is the one vehicle that still embodies old school Lexus, maybe the IS to an extent, but in terms of old school luxury feel, smoothness, materials are good. The ES is on its like, it doesn't really compete with anything. The Germans don't have anything that really, maybe the A6 competes with it, I would say, but the A6 has a lot more performance. But anyways, I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. I'm excited for the ES, and I'm excited to see you guys comment down below. Have a great day. Peace out.